The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
A very scary experience.
You know, God is a solution. God, the 12 step.
I like where he's going here.
Helps the community grow, helps us grow.
Monty has done a phenomenal job. And you're talking about taking people through a spiritual process and getting them into recovery.
Thanks, Monty, and thanks for all your support.
We need spirituality to make this thing work long term.
It's an absolute pleasure. He certainly knows a lot of people.
This is one of the places that is about the business of the solution.
And now, broadcasting on location somewhere in the vast expanse of the Pacific Northwest, it's the over-opinionated 12-stepologist, the Monty'man.
That's right. Well, greetings one and all. Welcome to another fine episode of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, the world's oldest and original recovery talk and positive music radio station and podcast. And we, of course, are broadcasting to you and for you from the beautiful outskirts of Albany, Oregon, here in the Pacific Northwest, reaching you worldwide. And joining me right now, of course, is our Take 12 Recovery Radio contributor, Roger McDermott from Huntington Beach, California. Roger, good day to you. There he is.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah. And, wow, I'm excited about this show. I should have had this gentleman on a long time ago. It's been a long time coming. But I'm just going to introduce him right off the bat before we have our little fun ditty that we do. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member, guitarist, singer, songwriter Ricky Byrd, inducted in the 2015 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. With over 40 years doing this music thing, and I'm telling you, this guy is the recovery troubadour. Now listen, although he is best known for his time spent with the Blackhearts, Ricky has also recorded and played with Roger Daltrey and toured with Ian Hunter, Southside Johnny, and the Ashbury Jukes. He has also been blessed to have had the chance to, at one time or another, share the stage with music royalty, including Paul McCartney, Ringo, Alice Cooper, Bruce Springsteen, Stephen Van Zandt, Joe Walsh, Mavis Staples, Dion, Brian Wilson, Smokey Robinson, Jimmy Page, Graham Nash, Elvis Costello, and the list goes on. But I am telling you that after listening to this man's music and after listening to what he shares on social media and what others say about him, I can tell you that his number one passion is his recovery. In fact, he said, simply put, it was time. He's been clean and sober ever since. That was in 1987, and he's doing what he can do to help others. Ricky, welcome to Take 12 Radio, buddy.
Thanks, Monty and Roger. Hey, Roger, are you a Dodger fan?
I've been Roger the Dodger since I was born.
Oh, yep, look at that.
Nice.
Look at that.
You're a Yankee fan. All right. Well, I still love you, buddy. I'll talk bad about you when we're done.
Bronx, baby.
All right.
You grew up in the Bronx. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
I got about 7 Yankee bobbleheads in front of me.
Well, listen,
That's a good thing.
We like to have a little fun before we get into this interview. So we got something brand new. Roger, you don't even know about this. Let's see what it is.
It's time to play. What bugs you about this? The game that has nothing to do with anything and yet everything to do with nothing.
That's right. The game that has nothing to do with anything and everything to do about nothing. What bugs you about this? Okay, so what bugs you about this? This on this episode is irritating noises. Irritating noises. So we'll ask our special guest this week, Ricky, what is the most irritating noise to you that bugs you?
Well, I do have tinnitus, so that's irritating, and it's constant. I know people have it worse, but I would say that. And as I get older, I'm getting more like Larry David. I'm starting to not like the sound of certain people's voices.
I can concur with that. Roger, what noise just irritates the heck out of you? Of course, these are things that most of the time we're powerless over anyway, right? But we like to whine about. Roger, what's yours?
I hate the sound of the car telling you to put your seatbelt on.
Oh,
that. I'd like to eliminate that beeping sound. It's like sometimes I do it just to irritate myself. I'm like, no, I'm not putting it on. Go ahead and keep ringing. I'm not putting it on.
So you're talking.
Speaking of cars, do you ever? I have this habit. I'll be driving with either my kid or my wife in the car, and she said, "Your turn signal's on." Do you just all of a sudden you don't hear the turn signal anymore?
That happens to me frequently, by the way.
Yes.
That's annoying.
With me,
yeah, it is annoying.
With me, it's the wipers. I'll put the wipers on, and then it'll stop raining, and the wipers are still going, and my wife's looking at me like I've lost my mind, and I'm like, they keep me company. I don't know. It's just something soothing about it.
Well,
that's very weird.
It's interesting because I have tinnitus. In our house, we have window air conditioners still, right?
Yeah.
And my wife hates the sound of them because they're loud. As modern as they are, they're going to still be loud. They save me at night because it blocks out the hissing sound in my ears.
Right. Sure. So mine is this.
Oh, people that just do that.
Like if I'm so I was the addiction recovery education director out at a men's recovery center, residential recovery center, for a number of years. So I taught classes, right? And there were periods of time in the class where the guys are studying, and invariably there's that one guy clicking his pen, just clicking his. Now, guys that come into treatment programs that have some co-occurring mental health issues and so forth, that drives them crazy too. In fact, they don't hear that. They hear an explosion going off, right? It's just so irritating to them. But that was one of mine. I could hear a clicking of a pen from a mile away.
Yeah, you might want to do a fourth step on that.
Might want to, right? Absolutely. All right. Well, that does it for what bugs you about this, our little game there. Now we know what bugs our contributor and our guest.
Let me just say, there's obvious ones like the scraping when you're cutting meat or something like that, cutting food.
Oh,
and you scrape the dish by accident. I mean, that's an obvious one.
Yeah.
That sound.
That's like it nails on the chalkboard kind of thing, right?
Yeah. When you unpack a box you get from Amazon and it's got that not the bubble wrap, that other stuff, that weird stuff, and when you break it, it makes that sound.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. Oh, that'll drive you up the wall.
Now you're freaking me out.
Yeah. Okay. If you would like to send in what bugs you about weird noises, not that anybody will, but just so you have it for future reference as well, our email address here at Take 12 Recovery Radio is take12radio@comcast.net. That's using the number 12. All right. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, our special guest, Mr. Ricky Byrd. Don't go away. Check this out.
Hey, check it out. You can now access all of our shows from a variety of podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, Podomatic, and Player FM. Simply search for Take 12 Recovery Radio, and you'll be tuned into the best in recovery broadcast journalism. Also available at take12radio.com. Indeed.
little bluegrass bumper music there. Well, it is our pleasure to have our guest, Mr. Ricky Byrd, on Take 12 Recovery Radio. Ricky, boy, I'll tell you, you know, the people that you've played with and have had the honor to rub shoulders with reads as a who's who of the music industry. And I just want to congratulate you on all the work that you've done. And we all know, any of us that are listening to this broadcast or part of this broadcast knows a tremendous amount of work it is to have a successful recovery journey. And to be in the music industry and do this thing, I just want to tell you how much we all appreciate what you do and the impact that you're having on people's lives. We know some of the same folks, although you and I, this is the first time we've met. And so I'm just so glad that you're here.
Your legend precedes you.
Well, okay.
We're all old.
I'm not saying if that's good or bad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, so you look good, you look healthy, but that's not what was always going on, right? What was going on before the new Ricky Byrd?
Well, two things before I start. I thought of a great another sound, and this ties into what we're talking about. How about when you're at a meeting and the speaker finishes, and then you go around the room for shares, and nobody raises their hand? You know that silence.
Oh, the silence.
I hate that.
Oh,
sound.
I hate that too.
And I'll tell you, I'll tie it into childhood stuff. I was always the kid in school that, you know, when the teacher was going around the room, I would like sink low into my seat so he wouldn't call on me. And I think that has something to do with that same tense feeling when nobody's raising their hand. And I automatically raise my hand just to break the silence.
Yeah. So you're one of those guys
Good
that
point.
can't stand the silence anymore, so you're going to share, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting is I've always been intrigued by people at meetings when they share their clean time or sober time, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah.
And they do it in days. And I never even, you know, I'm like, where do you even find this thing? Like, you're going to just sit there and do the math? And somebody just this morning, because I'm on this morning chain of a bunch of guys from
right.
Rooms, and they said, here's this really cool Everything AA app that they stumbled across that I never saw. And I went on, and the first thing they ask you is to put your date in. And it turns out that I have 12,967 days.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is 35 years, 6 months, and 2 days.
Well,
now I could pull that out of my pocket at a meeting.
You pull that out, baby.
That's right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Or the guys or gals that go, well, in 4 months I'll have 2 years. What?
Yeah. Well, the other one is I just have today. Okay, we know that.
Right.
But we're asking a literal question. You know?
I just got today. That is annoying. That is very annoying.
Well, I mean, I get it, but you know,
I get it too.
It's like you're trying to be a smartass, I think.
Right. Or I'm still a newcomer. You know, the guy is like 100 years old. He's been there for decades and decades. I get the humility, but sometimes it's kind of a false humility, I think.
Look at us judging.
Yeah, aren't we? Oh my God!
And you know what's funny? I'll tell you something really funny. So today, what I do is, you know, I'll get to what you're asking me, but what I do is because I'm probably like everybody, I'm just guessing. Do you have a pile of recovery books like by the side of your bed that you barely read?
Yes,
I do.
Yes. There's like two of them that I read constantly, and the rest of them, I'm going to get to.
Yeah. So what I do is I go on. I have 2 apps that I get an AA daily reflection, right? And I get an NA just for today,
right?
And I post them both on my Facebook, you know, Recovery Troubadour.
You do.
How do I do? Why do I? Well, I get a lot of people saying thank you for posting that, so you know maybe somebody needs to read something. But for me, I have to trick myself into reading. So like the first thing in the morning, I read the stuff before I post it. So that's like the only way I'm going to read it.
Oh, okay.
But today, funny enough, in the NA one, it's the Just for Today, It's looking for the assets. It's about what we were just doing. In accordance with the principles of recovery, we try not to judge, stereotype, or moralize with each other.
Oops.
Yeah.
Ouch. I
timing
didn't
is
read that. Way to go,
timing is
Ricky.
everything.
I'm sorry I didn't read your post.
Yeah, timing is everything. So, yeah, I mean, listen, my dad was an alcoholic. He died of this disease. His father died of this disease. I have my dad's brother who's in recovery 47 years, something like that, something wild. And but my parents were divorced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I remember as a kid, my dad was a bartender. We lived in the Bronx, yeah. And I would wake up to go to school and be a bottle of G&B on the table, kitchen table. That's what I remember. You know, and he wasn't a mean drunk or anything, like he was just a drunk, right? Funny enough, I have never tasted scotch. Isn't that funny?
Interesting.
A therapist would have a field day with that. But you know, I've tried everything else, but scotch, the smell of scotch from that kitchen table smell, you know, makes me nauseous immediately. So, like everybody I know, you know, if you ask in meetings or in groups or something, you know, when did you start? Most everybody will say around 13 years old. Yeah, it could be sometimes it's younger, sometimes it's older, but it seems like it's a common age because we're like looking to get into trouble, right? It's being a kid. And also it was the times for me, right? So I was a teenager in the 70s. I guess smoking pot, right, was the start of the whole thing. You know, in the schoolyard or something like that. And of course, I've been playing guitar, like you mentioned, for so long. I mean, I started playing guitar when I was 9. I got my first guitar. So by the time I was like 13 or so, Roger, you're rubbing your microphone.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, sorry about that. I was intently listening to you. Sorry.
I could see you doing it. That's the only reason I did it. Look, I'm judging again. Oh my God. So I was like a very quiet, shy kid. I used to love to read. I still read. I've got a book. I read a book. You know, I finish a book, next book. Mostly biographies and autobiographies. And I love the 30s and the 40s and, you know, Sinatra and gangster stuff. But I was always myself. I kept myself shy, you know, skinny little kid in the Bronx. And I tell you, man, when I was 13, I smoked that first joint. It seemed like a lot of that shyness dissipated a little bit, or the world seemed a little less threatening. How's that? Now, that's, you know, a lot of us started, probably the great percentage of teenagers that if you talk to that are, I don't know how old you are, but around our age, our demographic, you know, they'll say they started smoking pot like that. And probably most of them grew out of it, or it was a social thing, or maybe now even at this age at a party they'll smoke a joint or something like that. But it seems I have the gene of addiction. So you know, it's like, okay, well, if that's good, well, what is that? What if I add that? You know, let me just keep in. And as I got to be a teenager and started hanging out and, you know, playing in bands, other things were introduced to me, and I just, you know, took them with open arms. And enjoyed the feeling of, I guess, being numb. I guess it would be the way to say it. Not knowing a thing. Funny enough, even though my dad was an alcoholic, and he was, you know, it was family known. You know, I never put 2 and 2 together. Like, you know, I was just a whole other. Then I wasn't with him or anything. But I was playing in bands, so you start doing this, somebody brings a 6-pack, you're starting to drink Heinekens or whatever it was. And again, you know, when other people were like, okay, I got a test tomorrow, I got to go home and study. I'm like, well, let's do one more. We'll do one more. That will, you know. So there was a pattern being set up, and it just kept going on and on. So if I drank and drugged for 18 years, right? From the time I was 13 until I was 30, heading towards 31. I'm going to say that I'm going to give it 9 years where it was fine. I was just a kid, right? No responsibilities, really. Maybe when I wanted something, I started to work little jobs, selling the newspaper over the phone, the stuff we all did when we were teenagers. And I would go to clubs. I was hanging out in Manhattan fairly early. By 16, I was 15, 16. I had phony proof I was hanging out at rock clubs. People hand you pills, this and that. You're hanging with older kids, older people. So, point being, nothing horrible happened, right? You just, you wake up in a stranger's house, or you wouldn't come home. And, my mom was very lenient with that. And I was a guy. If I was a girl, it would be totally different, right?
Sure.
A daughter. But it kept increasing and increasing. So I'm going to say for that first 9 years, I was just like most people, I guess, But most people grow out of that stuff. But I was addicted to the feeling of not feeling, I guess. And then in the early 80s, or late 70s, very late 70s, 78, 79, cocaine became a thing for my generation. It's been around since forever. Obviously, if you read enough books, and Hollywood was filled with it, and it was in Coca-Cola, and there's so many stories about people that used to do coke back in the old days. Even people like not George Gershwin, notorious coke users that wrote amazing American music. Why can't I remember his name all of a sudden? But it would go. Cocaine had this thing where it would come around and would be very for the rich crowd, and then it would be for this crowd, and then it would be for that crowd. It found its way into the music business, and I was attracted to it. Now the good thing about coke is it turns you into a new guy. Problem with it is that 5 minutes later the new guy wants a hit, and on and on and on. So I think from when the first time I picked up coke, that was the slow descent into WTF, and everything that comes with it.
Sure.
And then I was out, I was out with a band, and I joined the Black Hearts. I mean, it's a long story. It's boring already. You can go on Wikipedia. But I was on the road and playing around the world, playing to stadiums and stuff, and there's a lot of partying going on after the show, and I just kept doing. You could see I don't have to even tell the story because you could see the pictures from back then. I was 128 pounds, which I'm 170 now. I guess that's human weight, and for my height, and just kept going that way. And I would, you know how it goes. If you've ever done it, like you.
Sure.
You get completely blown out of proportion. You're like speeding your brains out, and then you need to go to sleep. So you take pills to go to sleep, and you drink Jack Daniels, and then it's just a vicious cycle. I had my near-death experience. I'd say I had two of them, and it was in 1983. We were on the road with John and the Black Hearts. And I was experimenting a little bit with freebasing, and my lung collapsed on stage in Opelika, Alabama, right before the end of the set. And long story short, I wound up in the hospital down there. They saved my life. I heard later that I was literally 10 minutes away or so from having a massive heart attack because my heart was like moving to the other side. It was such a bad lung collapse. It's called attention pneumothorax. And I figured that was probably it. Yeah, you would think that would be it. I do remember the one funny thing out of that is the head of the hospital, a great guy. I'm sitting in his office. I'm being let out of the hospital. And Carol, my wife's there. And he says, you need to stop smoking pot. Now pot was the constant through the whole time. Right?
Yeah.
And everything else, favorites took its turn. He said, you got to stop smoking pot because you have the beginnings of emphysema. And I never really smoked cigarettes. You'll see a picture of me with a cigarette, but it was more for effect.
Right.
And I was like, wow, That's what? I got to stop smoking pot. I said, what about Coke? And this was 1983. He said, ready for this? In moderation, he said to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they obviously know more about it now than they did then.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, okay, doctor's orders.
Yeah.
And, you know, I came back to New York. And this is the way it works with people like me. Yeah, it was good for a minute. And then you would go out. I remember we would go out. We would go out for dinner or something like that, with all intentions of just drinking club soda. And somewhere along the line, somebody would come up, hey, man, come on, don't you have a Heineken? No. Yeah, go ahead, you're fine, go ahead. That's it. You just have a Heineken. I'll watch you. And you have a Heineken, and then it kind of loosens your, you know, especially if you didn't eat yet, right? You get a little bit, so you have another one. You know, 2 or 3 Heinekens, then you figure you order a Jack Daniels, and then all of a sudden you're making phone calls.
Yep.
And that's the path. So yeah, I started out with good intentions, and little by little I just crept back in, and then before long I was doing blow again. And I was getting these pains in my chest from the scarring. Right? So I would always be like, I'd get these like stabbing pains, but it didn't stop me.
Yeah.
You know. And
right.
As far as insanity goes, I remember one night. We couldn't do like there was a point where my nose was so screwed up that somebody said, well, I'll tell you what, let's blow it in your mouth under your tongue. It goes straight into your bloodstream. And we were doing that night, and you're completely numb from ceiling to floor. And what happened is I started to seize, like my fingers seized up and curled up like that, you know, my toes. And my wife for like an hour and a half walked me back and forth in the apartment. And then finally I was okay after an hour and a half, and I looked at her and I said, I'm feeling okay now, let's do some more.
Yeah.
And she said, are you freaking insane? I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I have to get a professional opinion on that. So that's the way it was, you know.
Yeah.
There's a million war stories.
Sure.
Everybody's got the same ones, you know, with different variables, I guess. And I did it all over the world. And so I'm turning 30, and I'm like, that's it, I'm done. Now, funny enough, my uncle I mentioned, he used to send me pamphlets in the mail, you know, AA pamphlets.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, why is he sending me this stuff? What is this? But they did make good coasters, I got to be honest with you.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Put that Jack Daniels right on there. Or you could actually cut stuff up if you wanted to be really creative.
Sure.
But, you know, he would send me this stuff. And we laugh about it now. And I was turning 30. That's it. So at 30, I tried to stop. And that was when I knew there was a problem, because I couldn't stop.
Let me stop you just for a minute, but I want you to hold that thought. This is a great segue into this song.
Oh, okay.
So if you could tell us, just give us a little intro about Quitting Time Again. Now, you hadn't quit yet, though, at this point, right? I mean, you're still doing the deal.
Well, I had intentions of.
But you had intentions. So tell us about Quitting Time Again.
Well, I guess the title tells the story. Quitting Time.
Yeah. Again.
Yeah. I mean, I was, so, you know, I put out 2 lyrically recovery-based records. No preaching allowed, you know, just laying the cards on the table. You make your own choices.
Gotcha.
And it was just one of the songs. It was just one of the songs that I came up with. In fact, you know, Steve Earle, right? I remember I was over his house in the city, in his apartment. I said, let's try to write. I got a great idea for a song. So it is kind of Steve Earle-ish musically.
Okay.
And he was he was like on the road coming back and forth, so he couldn't finish with me. So I just finished it myself. And I tell the story of you know, my old friend. That's the chorus, my old friend, right? And that you've been absolutely no good to me, and you're a complete waste of time, you know. So that's basically the story of Quitting Time, you know. So
yeah.
So I did those. That's on the Sobering Times record, yeah.
Yeah.
And then before that, I did Clean Getaway. So I did 2 recovery rock and roll records, which you could get on my website.
And by the way, listeners, Ricky's website is Ricky Byrd, that's spelled BYRD, rickybyrd.com, and it's linked up here at take12radio.com. as well. So here is Ricky's song, Quittin' Time Again.
It sure would be something to wake up in my bed, knowing what I've done last night and much of what I said. But it's all a little hazy. I can't remember what I'm trying to forget. A whole lot of good reason to stop hasn't stopped me yet. You low down, sorry excuse for life. Kiss my ass. My old friends, my old friends. I'm afraid it might be quitting the time again. 'Cause in the end, oh, my old friends, you sure as hell don't treat me right. I'm left alone to face the morning light. I think it's time we parted, my old friends. 'Cause with friends like you, my old friends.
Quitting Time Again, Mr. Ricky Byrd. I love it. I love it. Roger, what'd you think?
I loved it.
Isn't that
yeah,
great?
I loved it.
Yeah.
You know what's great about? I haven't listened to that dude in a year, easy.
Really?
And yeah, because I'm always writing the next song.
Sure.
It's great when you listen to it and you go, yeah, baby. Great sound, lyrics spot on, tells the story. Anybody that's in recovery could identify with that story.
Yeah.
Good job, Ricky Byrd.
Yeah, definitely good job, Ricky Byrd.
Yeah, amen to that.
Are you your biggest critic?
Oh yeah, man.
Sure.
All artists are our own biggest critics. But I think I got to the point where I you learn a lot of stuff if you're around recovery long enough, and it's about I'm only in charge of the action and doing the work and the results. What happens after I send it out into the world? Because I'm sitting here I'm listening, I'm going, man, because they played that a couple of times on Little Steven's Underground Garage. didn't, the single was Together, the song Together. But I'm like, man, this should be in a TV show or something, like that's what my brain's sitting here. I don't critique myself now as much. I think of like, oh man, I gotta pull that song out and send it to a music supervisor or something. Like I'm thinking, my mind's rolling, like what can I do with that tune? Because it's got a message. Now, if I was doing my recovery troubadour stuff, like going around to treatment facilities, doing my music groups, I'd be playing that song, to clients, sitting in 60 people in
sure,
in a facility. But I'm not doing that now because I still am having a hard time getting anybody to let me back in because, facilities are so, it's a petri dish for COVID now, right?
Right.
Still, every time I call, they say, we just had an outbreak, So they try not to have any guests come in or something.
Still.
Yeah, because all it takes is one person in that tight,
yeah, true.
Everybody's living together, right?
Yeah.
They're all sleeping in the same,
dorms
area.
Yeah.
Dorms, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess they don't want it to, at least they don't want it to come in. I'm sure they test people when they come in, but it's still there, man. It's still, I know people every day that's still testing positive and getting sick. Thank God it's mild for most people.
Right. Yeah, we had it come through the center that I worked at. We had it come through 3 times. We had 35 guys, and it came through 3 times, and it hit everybody. I mean, every we call them students. Every student, every staff, every intern. 3 times it hit. I was fortunate. I only picked it up 1 time, but yeah, it was rough. And
let me tell you something, man. I was looking at my Twitter the other day, and I happened to catch this thing about long COVID, and it says this guy goes, ready? My doc says my 2-month-long vertigo in 2022 was COVID. Left me with tinnitus and head float feeling. He said many people are getting strange symptoms like vertigo or rash, etc. Those are I still don't feel well. I had it in July. Like
yeah.
I go through the day and all of a sudden I start getting vertigo again. My head is like a little foggy sometimes. And the other thing, the tinnitus got worse. I've had tinnitus for 20 years.
Wow.
But it got worse. So it is a thing,
Yeah. My wife, it's been we're going on 3 years of no taste. Marcia still has no taste. Yeah. She can taste Pepsi, she can taste chocolate, and that's about it. I remember the days when
so you don't mind the bad coffee at the meetings.
Well, yeah. I often joke about if all you're doing is drinking bad coffee and sharing about your day, you might want to do more than that. But my wife's not a coffee drinker. I am. I've got like coffee machines, several different kinds. I've got espresso makers. I've got,
brother.
I mean, I have a whole coffee corner that's just kind of taken over the kitchen, and she's just given up.
I got the same corner.
That's great. Roger, you got a coffee corner?
I have a regular drip coffee maker.
Yeah.
We got an espresso machine, like when I'm lazy and I just put the pot in. And then I have a full-out espresso machine.
Yeah, that sounds like me. So I have a Nespresso, I have a Breville espresso, I have a Keurig, and then I've got a regular maker. And my wife says, "Why do you need all that stuff?"
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's addiction. Thank you very much.
Yes, that is addiction.
Yeah, Roger, you're a coffee guy. I know you are, because every time you come up north, you buy me coffee. What does your kitchen look like?
I love coffee, and I love going to places that make good coffee. Yeah. But here's the deal at home. I'm too lazy. So the pod goes in.
Yeah.
I make it dark. It's fine. If I want to be a connoisseur of coffee, I go someplace that's got one of the expensive machines, and I order till my heart's delight. But I'm too lazy at home, and I don't need to keep buying coffee makers.
What's interesting is we drink coffee. Why do we drink coffee? Okay, you want to lie to me and say you like the taste. Okay.
I drink coffee for the effect, brother.
Thank you.
Just like everything else we ever did. Come on, Ricky.
I appreciate your honesty.
Absolutely.
But all those things we're talking about, the things we get. Remember the days when we loved our little stuff, like the D-ring for the Coke and the little gold spoon and the thing.
Oh, you bet.
And how many times did you throw that stuff out and go out and buy it again?
Oh, 100 times.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm done with this. This is done. If I waited long enough and it was another day, but most of the time it was a couple of hours, I'm back down at the head shop again. Boy, that's a beautiful
so
bong,
funny.
isn't
Isn't
it?
it funny that we're like so much is in common? That's what was attractive to me when I walked into my first 12-step meeting. Is like, no, I don't look like anybody in here. Like I just came off the road. I'm wearing a fringe jacket. My hair's long, But every people started to talk, and I was like, well, wait a second now. That sounds familiar. What the hell?
That's great. That's great. Ricky,
Speaking of coffee, I'm a French press guy.
Oh, are
The
you?
French
I have
press
one of
is-
those too. I've
Yeah,
got a
I
cold
love French
brew.
press.
Now you're getting into something that I'm too lazy for.
Yeah, but
Yeah, well, exactly.
see, being the control freak that I am. My coffee corner, I know I have some control there, so I live there a lot.
Wow.
All right, this next song, I Come Back Stronger. I have to tell you, I have played this song so many times. It just reaches into my gut and into my heart. Tell us about this, Ricky.
So I co-wrote that with my pal Richie Super, who you
Yes.
know. And we're friends 45 years. We use together and we clean together. He's in Florida, I'm in New York. But for sobering times, it's business too. Like I wanted to write a song that was non-committal about it's about recovery, that anybody in the world could listen to it and go, oh yeah. Because I wanted to try to get some airplay, bro. Like it costs money to record these records.
Yeah.
And I don't tour, really. I do events, I do gigs occasionally. So, like, airplay is the only payment, really. Or if you sell, physical CDs, of course. So I wanted to have something that was a little less in your face. Like Quitting Time is, I mention stuff, right? So we know what it's about. So I Come Back Stronger is just about getting up off the mat.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hear it. Here is Ricky Byrd with his song "Come Back Stronger."
Life is a lesson we all live and learn every day. All the ups and the downs and the roadblocks that get in the way. Trying to find myself, I got bruised and hurt, but I survived it all, and it made me the person that I am today. Every time I fall, I come back stronger. I come back stronger. I come back stronger. I was broken once, but not any longer. When life hands you keys that just won't open up any doors, and you're stuck in a rut feeling desperate down to the core. It's the faith you find along the way that always gets you through. I face my fears 1,000 times. Every time I do, I come back stronger. I come back stronger. I come back stronger. I was hopeless once, but not any longer.
Ricky Byrd, I Come Back Stronger. That song gives me goosebumps. I have got to tell you, it just does. And it, for me, it speaks to me of the times that I thought I was putting my best foot forward. I really did think so, maybe to the degree that I was able to at the time I was. But every time I fell off the horse and got back on, I didn't think I was coming back stronger at the time, but I had so many people supportive and around me within the recovery community, and my wife, that said, you know what? You're going to be stronger because of this. You're not going backwards. You're going forwards. Your relapses, they're even different than they were before. They were shorter. They were. I mean, at one point I would take off for a month, and then I wasn't gone, and then I stayed at home, and then I didn't lie anymore. I mean, it changed, and I got stronger and stronger. That's how that song hits me, and I just appreciate it so much, Ricky.
That's good to hear. You know, I got to start posting these songs. That's what I got to do, because they're all on YouTube. Actually, we did a video, if I remember correctly, like 2 summers ago, in the middle of everything. We went out to Long Island by the water and shot a video for this song, which was really cool, with the guys that played on it. Steve Holly on drums, who played with McCartney and Wings. Jeff Kazee on keyboards. He played accordion on this. He plays with Southside Johnny. And Bob Stander, my co-producer, played bass on it. So there's a video. You could go search it out on YouTube.
Yes, definitely. Listen, we're going to take a short break, pay for the show. We'll be right back. More with Ricky Byrd when we come back. Listen, I absolutely adore this book. I have applied and implemented it in my life. I know it'll help you get unstuck if you're stuck in your recovery. That's 12 Essential Insights for Emotional Sobriety, Getting Your Recovery Unstuck, by our good friend and Take 12 Recovery Radio contributor, Dr. Alan Berger. Where can you get the book? Visit his website at abphd.com, and you can receive an autographed copy. This book is also available on Amazon.
In the room.
Hey guys, this is Richie Supa, and you are listening to Take12Radio.com, recovery talk and positive music.
That comes to save your soul.
All right, welcome back. And that's our good friend Richie Supa. I do want to give a shout out for Recovery Unplugged. If you visit the website, recoveryunplugged.com. Ricky, do you have association with Recovery Unplugged? Do you do work with them?
Well, obviously Richie, is my friend for a million years. When he first started with Recovery Unplugged, which was called something else before that, when he helped found that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I played there a couple of times with him, did music groups there. But I mean, I live in New York, so it's
there you go. Yeah.
But, as far, another thing I want to mention is I've been helping out this really cool organization called allsober.com, which is a really cool recovery platform that I've been helping actually get they have an inspiration page. Okay. Somebody hooked me up with them, and I really love what they're doing. There's like no opinions there. It's about information of where to find this, where to find that, treatment, recovery, in recovery, community, a sober life. So my job that I'm helping them with is right this minute is getting my friends from the music business or sports that are in recovery and talk about it publicly. Not about 12-step stuff, but about being in recovery. Mm-hmm. To be on the inspiration page. So if you go to allsober.com, you'll see this really cool. The whole site is great, and it's just building as they go. But there's a lot of cool people on that I've been getting, and I'm waiting for a couple of people to send me. That's the hardest part. Is like, yeah, I'd love to, and then it's like trying to get it from people. I just want a little story, a bio, just like give me a paragraph. Tell me what your recovery means to you. It's like pulling teeth, man.
Yeah. I know. So allsober.com, we'll link it up on the website as well, and we'll put it on our resource page too.
Yeah, it's really cool, And the reason I first got hooked up with them is because I am public about the recovery side of it. I get people finding me on social media that ask me for help, like they have somebody that lives in Sheboygan that needs rehab. Like I don't know treatment facility in Sheboygan, and I wouldn't just blindly turn somebody onto a place.
Sure.
So there's a lot of information out there, and here it's all in one place.
Nice.
So I actually turned them on to this. Somebody called me and said, I think it was my aunt. It was an older woman, and she's alcoholic. She needs to go. She knows she wants to go, but she's near Philly. So I called them. I just started with them, helping them, and I called them, and I hooked them up with the right person to talk to there. And they found them a place, and they said she's looking for some place that caters to old seniors. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know there was such a thing. So and in the area. So there's actually on All Sober, you could go where you are. You could find out where you could see what insurance they take,
Oh, wow.
I think that's because I think the thing is, like when a parent is, like a kid is circling the drain and a parent is trying to get them help and they got to sit on the phone and make 25 phone calls. Can you imagine the frustration and the fear that you're filled with, So everything's vetted, I really think it's a thing of the future. So I'm happy to be.
Good deal. Allsober.com. Folks, you want to check that out. It'll be linked up at Take 12 Radio as well. We are winding down. I can't believe that we're almost done here, but
we need more coffee.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we do.
But before we listen to the song "Broken Is a Place," Roger, you got any questions for Ricky or anything you'd like to share with him? Or
I love the last song. I mean, some of the pillar of light gave me the truth.
Yeah, glimmer of
I
light,
used to smoke.
Glimmer of light. Yeah.
It was. I just loved it. I loved the music.
It also says, "Give me a moment of grace." In other words, you know how we talk about that moment of clarity.
Yes.
Well, clarity didn't rhyme, so we said, But that's
what I find in that in your story and your songs is I've come to realize that suffering is it's a spiritual touchstone, and it's the stepping stone to growing spiritually. If I don't suffer, I'm not really learning anything.
When the pain of where you are gets worse than the fear of moving forward, that's when we.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well said. Yeah.
When we get up from suffering, we're a different guy. We really are a different guy, and that experience, strength, and hope that we talk about incessantly is a result of suffering.
And you know what? Like we've been talking about this at some meetings lately. When you have time, when you get into like 35, 36 years, the hard part is I don't have the gift of desperation anymore, which is a plus at the beginning. It's a blessing, right?
Right.
Because it can make you're talking about the suffering, right? But the hard part about and then there's the things you go through when you have some time. You feel like you shouldn't share when things are going rough for you. You're a guy with time, but that's completely backwards because people want to hear that in spite of all these things you're going through, you still didn't pick up a drink or a drug, whatever your thing was, right? Your party favor. And the other thing is life, like it's really easy to be spiritual and happy and joyous and free when you're in that room for an hour with your friends.
Yeah.
You got to take this to the streets, man.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part because there's always somebody poking you, and it's really hard to be kind to love. It's tough, and especially in this world. We're living in a crazy ass world right now. And maybe it was always crazy ass, but maybe it was always crazy ass, and now we're sober, and now we see how crazy ass it is.
Good point.
But I probably missed it before. But there's always something poking at you, like poking the bear. You got to be kind and try to be helpful and try to do the next right thing, as my first guy sponsor used to say. And it ain't easy, man. It's a tough. This life is hard to navigate. And look, we have these steps. We got the rooms, we got the people, we got the phone numbers, we got the sayings on the wall. It's not a cure-all, but it helps. It helps navigate through, what we have to go in real life. And also, the one fact is the more work you put into it, the better you'll feel. Period. That's just a end game. It's like the more you do it, the more and that's what but it's difficult. I feel I give credit. I'm always saying this to newcomers. It's like, dude, I just pat yourself on the back, bro. Like the fact that you're still here.
Yeah,
is amazing, because even people that don't have what we have, it's a hard life to get through. It's just there's always something every day. It's like my grandmother used to say, if it's not one thing, it's another.
Yes.
Every day we wake up to challenges, and it's how we react to challenges that make us the person we are.
Yeah. Amen. Ricky, tell us about this last song, "Broken Is a Place."
Well, let me also, before I say that, let me say that I still go to those community support group meetings, just in case anybody is asking that question in their mind. I try to go to three a week live now. Thank God. I mean, I love the Zoom. Zoom meetings saved me during those 3 years, but I love going and seeing everybody. So I still pretty much do the same stuff that I did at the beginning. Maybe not as much, because your life gets busy, and of course, so you got to find that balance between doing what you need to do to be happy and to be kind to people, and dealing with, it's a bridge back to life. No, isn't that one of the first things they tell us?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Broken Is a Place was the first recovery song that I wrote, also with Mr. Supa, and I have it written down somewhere when it was written. I think around 2008 or somewhere in there. And I might have been going through some stuff in real life, and as one would do. And Richie said, "Why don't you come down to the house in Florida and let's do what we do. Let's write." And we wrote "Broken Is a Place," and it became the first, like the cornerstone of all the rest of my recovery songs. And it really, when I do it at treatment facilities, you could really see people, like the tears welling up in their eyes. It's pretty straight ahead, It's a quiet little acoustic song, and of course I made it into this other thing when I recorded it because I had to. That's what I do.
All right.
Like I add. Did we put the kitchen sink on there yet? Let's add that.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Here is Ricky Byrd and "Broken Is a Place."
The things I did to just not feel the pain, like drinking myself slowly down the drain. Anything to fix me quick, getting high is what made me tick. I couldn't quit. I never thought that I would see the day I'd hit my knees and I would start to pray. Suddenly I felt the spark that picked me up and led me from the dark. Could it be God? Tired of hurting, tired of all the bridges burning. Surrender was the only way to win. When I let go, my wildest dreams were out there waiting. I won't go back, life is on the mend. Broken is a place I've already been. I got here with every wrong turn that I took. mistakes I made, read like an open book. I'm a different man today, but I know trouble's just one drink away. Here comes the pain. Tired of hurting, tired of all the bridges burning. Surrender was the only way to win. When I let go, my wildest dreams were out there waiting. I won't go back, life is on the mend. Broken is a place I've already been. I've already been. Broke down and busted, already been. The man I don't wanna be. No, no. Tired of hurting, tired of all the bridges burning. Surrender was the only way to win. When I let go, my wildest dreams were out there waiting. I won't go back, life is on the mend. Broken is a place I've already been.
Wow. I don't know what else to say other than wow.
Dude, I haven't listened to this stuff in so long. Like, once I finish recording a record, I'm like on to the next. I got to go back and revisit this stuff.
Yeah. So what do you?
I gotta post this stuff. You know,
You do, Ricky.
For sure.
You really do, because this is the stuff that reaches in. You know, as a musician, I mean, this is the stuff that reaches into a person's soul. I mean, you know, in the Orient, you know, years, decades and decades ago, they would use music to influence, you know, the people in the fields and the farm workers and stuff. I mean, music is so powerful, and the talent that God has given you, yeah, you do need to post it, brother. I just really encourage you to do that. Yeah.
And I have the ability to do it because it's all up on, you know,
yeah,
Spotify and YouTube. I could just share it onto my pages and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta get busy with that. You know, I get so involved in what I'm doing now that I forget, and that's the shame about doing this day and age in the recording industry. That album, that's from the Clean Getaway album, right? So, you know, that was 2017 already, you know, and people that have it, they listen to it, hopefully. If I was doing recovery music groups, I'd be playing it. But with none of that going on, it's just good songs that, you know, people could be listening to.
Yeah. Well, you can be assured that we will be playing them on our station and our podcasts. We close the majority of our shows. We close with a recovery song from a recovery recording artist or somebody that's been in recovery and has written recovery-focused music. We do it all the time, and you're definitely. In fact, we've already done it with. I think I Come Back Stronger. I think about a month ago we closed this thing with that, and then gave the listeners a heads up that you were going to be on the show. So we really, really appreciate you, my friend. And I was going to ask you, when you were listening to Broken is a Place, when you were listening to that, you hadn't listened to it for a while, what was going through your head?
Nice slide parts.
Good for you.
I did it so long ago. Like I'm going, oh, that's pretty. That was a nice production, you know.
Yeah.
good vocal sound. That's what my brain is like. Not tearing apart the stuff. I'm giving me and Bob props in my brain for like, wow, that sounds pretty cool.
Right.
You know, and all the little bits we did, like all these little parts that we spend. You know, people don't get it. I guess they don't realize. You know, hours and
Oh
hours
my gosh, no.
in the studio. Those little slide parts. I didn't just sit down and just because I never work anything out in advance as far as the leads and stuff go. I do it in the studio. See which way the wind's blowing and and just go for it. But yeah, we put a lot of work into that stuff.
People don't they don't know. They don't have a clue. A lot of people. Some guy told me one time, goes, "What do? You got a little microphone? You sit on the edge of your bed. You do a show." I go, "Yeah, dude, you have no clue." There's a lot of work, but this is the passion that we all have with the giftings we've been given, and so we appreciate you so much. Tell the listeners.
Well, and also, let me just say, also, I don't think I've been as like everything just keeps getting better. The songs are written better. My singing's stronger. I'm no spring chicken, so.
Right.
I'm finding my voice, It's almost like, and the production, me and Bob have a really great production. Bob Stander at his studios, Parcheesi out in Long Island. Like he knows what I'm thinking. We have we have this language that he could, he could get what I'm thinking that I want it to sound like. I just say, you know what, remember that piece on that second Zeppelin record and that quiet song where they did, oh yeah. Let me try. He finds the right settings for it, the right sounds, and then
wow.
My part is I got to perform, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking about the production and stuff, and just going, yeah, nice job. But we're getting every time we do more stuff. Like right now, I have I decided after sobering times to like lay off the recovery music for a while. I got 2 albums worth of stuff, so I just wanted to write some straight rock and roll stuff. I had Little Steven's Underground Garage, thank God, plays me when I put records out, because the radio is slim pickings these days as far as rock and roll artists.
Sure.
And I have a song called Glamdemic Blues that I wrote about the frustration of being locked in for 3 years and not being able to do all these things I want to do. And that is, they have a thing called Coolest Song in the World. So they play the hell out of you for a week and then you're on heavy rotation. So I was that February 27th. And then I have a new single out coming April 21st called Alien. And basically I had a dream that I was having. I had a dream that I was having a sit down. Well, I had watched The Day the Earth Stood Still, which I've seen a million times. And basically that story is about them coming here. Michael Rennie is the star. He comes and he's in human form. And he comes on the ship and he's basically telling us, dude, either you got to find peace or we're going to destroy the earth, right? So I had a dream that I was at a mob-like sit down. And Steven Van Zandt was there, of course, as Silvio. And he was like the mediator. And we were sitting with all these aliens, like in a room with a light, like one of those lights, overhead light. And I was trying to buy the human race some more time.
Oh, wow.
And that's what the song is about.
That's great.
Wow.
So I'm trying to write stuff that I've never written before. I'm trying to stay away from the norms and,
That's excellent. That's excellent. So if people want to visit your website, it's rickybyrd.com, right? Do you have any other sites? Is that your main one or?
Well, I'm on Twitter,
Right.
Birdman10, I think it's Birdman20. I'm on Instagram. I'm easy to find.
Yeah, you are.
But rickybyrd.com, listen, support. You won't be, you'll be doing a thing for yourself and to help me make more music if you go to rickybyrd.com and get the clean getaway. I have a spring bundle right now. I'm doing both records plus a bunch of swag. Like I found, like a signed picture and buttons and in fact, as I was going through stuff, because I'm starting to go through stuff now, I found this. Dude, this is an I Love Rock and Roll button. I found a bag of them, right? This is from 1982-ish. And I'm throwing one in. And, the backs are all rusty because they were down in my basement during Hurricane Sandy.
Oh, wow.
But somebody's gonna, it's a nice piece of memorabilia, so I'm throwing them into bundles. But if you're in recovery, dude, if you're struggling, the music is right up your alley. If you're in recovery, you're gonna realize. You listen to the stuff, you'll realize why you're in recovery.
Yeah.
And if you just like rock and roll, it's just a cool rock and roll record, both of them. And then Glamdemic Blues is all over the, place now. You get that at your favorite music store. So singles. I'm doing singles. Like it's 1964.
Gosh, I remember going into my local music store. They'd have the 45s, and they'd have a list of the top 10, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, what a time to live, man! I'll tell you what, we have.
That's why I decided to do singles, because I do like "Broken Is a Place" is the final song on Clean Getaway, and how many people actually listen to it? They didn't play it on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't tell you how many albums I purchased where I fell in love with songs that nobody was playing on the album. You know what I mean? And good stuff. Ricky, thank you so much. We are out of time. Any closing thoughts? Roger, any closing statements or thoughts for Ricky?
I love your music. I've got about 8 or 10 hours of road time coming up Wednesday and Thursday, and I'll be listening to your music on the road nonstop and thanking you for writing it. God bless you, my friend. And if I have a friend who lives in Long Island, if I get back there, I'd love to contact you and buy you an outstanding cup of coffee.
We'll never turn down a good cup of coffee.
There you go.
And you know what they say: do not criticize the coffee at meetings. Because someday you too will be old and weak.
Oh, ouch, Ricky. Come on, man.
I like that. I'm going to use that. Yeah. I'm going to use that. Okay, so everybody, when I sign off here, everybody stay on for a couple of seconds because this has to upload. Ricky, thank you so very much for being our guest. Yeah, it's been an absolute honor. And
Keep doing what you do.
Thank you, my friend. Will you come back on at some point?
Yeah, sure. We got new stuff to talk about.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome.
We could pick another topic.
Yeah, I love it.
Like a topic meeting.
There you go.
Like a topic meeting. Should we have Chips Ahoy or Oreo cookies? And then we could argue about it for an hour.
That's right. Run it right into the business meeting. All right, listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Ricky Byrd has been our guest, Recovery Troubadour. Please visit his website, pick up his music, rickybyrd.com. All right. Broken is a place. We do come back stronger. And for some of us, it might be quitting time again. Listen, keep coming back, folks. Don't give up, all right? Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty'man along with the rest of the Take 12 Recovery Radio family, thanking our guest, Ricky Byrd, this week, and, of course, Roger McDermott. And until next time, we are wishing God's perfect serenity for you.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.